Hi, my name is Ashley. I'm a learning leader at Paul Mitchell The School Nampa, and this is Tip Tuesday. So today we're going to be going over do's and don'ts of our eyebrows and how to shape them. Today I'm using an eyebrow powder. I have two different shades in this palette. One's a little bit lighter and then a little bit darker to create a nice ombre contrast. I do have a brow setting gel, a concealer. It's the Urban Decay eyeshadow primer. I love this MAC, and this is what I'm going to do to just kind of set it in place. Alright, so we're going to start with our do eyebrow. Our first do is to make sure that we find our starting point. You're going to start about mid-nostril, like right here where it meets like the point. You don't want to create a line right there because then you'll have to blend it out. So I am going to take the darker shade first so that I can start outlining. So I'm just going to go a little past because I know that's where it starts. So when you are looking into the mirror, you're gonna see the white side next to the color of your eye. So that's where you're gonna create your arch. So I can kind of like make a little point right here. And then when you go to create the end, you don't want it to go too far down. You don't want to enclose your eye into the eyebrow. So our next point is going to be right here. So I can just create a little line right here. So I'm going to go ahead and outline the rest of my eyebrow. Having this nice outline is really going to help you keep a nice clean eyebrow and keep you in the lines. It's just like coloring or drawing. I'm going to fill it in, and I'm going to only fill it in with the dark to where this top line is, and then I'll start bringing in the lighter color. You also see that I'm going to brush my eyebrow hairs up and down so that I can get underneath the hairs. So then when I go to live my life, it's not going to show like empty spaces in between. Alright, so now I'm going to go into my lighter shade that I have, and I'm going to start adding that here, and then I'll start blending them together. So now I have that lighter shade in. You can kind of see the difference. So I'm going to take a little bit of the darker shade, and I'm just going to tap in between the two colors so that I can start blending them in a little bit better. Now I'm going to use the brush on this side, and I'm going to start blending with this as well to just kind of help make it really nice and seamless. And then I also want to soften up the line at the bottom of my eyebrow. And then that kind of just helps diffuse it, and it's now nice and clean. It goes from one shade to the other, but it's not super noticeable. It just keeps it really nice and natural. Now I do need to clean it up because as you can see, it's not completely consistent in a nice clean line underneath. So I'm going to go ahead and take this and place it underneath so I can clean it up. And I can push it up with this Morphe brush. And as you can see, it's still not completely blended in, which is where I bring this brush in. And now that it's all nice and clean, now I can set it with a powder, and then I can fill it in with the gel to keep it in place. And now this is the Morphe Brow Setting Gel. It's a nice clear gel. It has no color to it. It's just going to keep it nice and in place. I want it to look as natural as possible, so I kind of brush it up in the front, and then I kind of nicely brush it over to go with the shape of the eyebrow. Alright, so that's our do eyebrow. So as you can see, it's still got a set, but it does have it. It's going to stay in place. It looks super natural. We just have a slight, subtle shade difference from here to just give it a nice ombre brow, but look as natural and as subtle as possible. Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and move into the eyebrow don'ts. A big don't that I see is that we just go in here and we just put a straight line at the end of our eyebrow here. That's going to be really hard to blend out. After we create that line, a lot of people tend to just want to go in and start filling it in before creating our shape, and that can create a lot of mess. And by just shading it in, you can't be careful in making sure that you're creating a nice, beautiful shape. And as nice as my eyebrows are, when I just go and fill them in with this dark shade, and I'm not really thinking about my placement and where I'm putting anything, even though my eyebrows are nicely, naturally shaped, this isn't a pleasing or appealing. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look nice and clean. It doesn't really have any shape. Because we can have this worm, and we can have a nice blended, beautiful natural eyebrow. A big eyebrow don't is that we want to create length in our eyebrows, which actually closes our eyebrow in, and it doesn't look natural, and it looks like we just caged this in. So I do see a lot of this. And I think it's because we want to create something with a little bit more length to maybe push out, I don't know, maybe we're thinking that it's gonna push out like some kind of arch, but that's not what it's going to do. It's actually just encasing, and I just don't really, if you think about it, we don't really know anybody who has this long of an eyebrow. Because over here, as you can see, I have like my highlight sitting over here, and it's really popping. We really wanna see, you know, that glow. But over here, when my eyebrow goes a little bit further, I'm kind of taking away from that brightness. So this concludes our do's and don'ts. We have our nice beautiful do eyebrow and our don't. If you are interested in coming in and getting your eyebrow shaped, or maybe a makeup service done with one of our future professionals, you can go ahead and call the school and make an appointment with us today. Thank you so much for watching Tip Tuesday. We'll see you next week.